the top of the league. We're in the Scottish Cup final. That's not pressure, that's just sheer enjoyment. We feel as fresh now as we did at the start of the season. And that's simply because we're achieving things. It's only when you start to fall by the wayside that you start feeling tired and you start feeling pressure.
St Mirren tomorrow could be a backlash. They possibly lost their chance of a European place during the week against Hibs. That could be every game's a tough one now for you.
Well, that one especially is a very tough one for us. They always give us a hell of a game down there at St Mirren, and it's going to be a very hard game for us. We just scraped a draw, I think, in the last 2 minutes early on in the season. That just goes to show, if we don't approach it properly, we're going to end up on the losing side. And at this stage of the season, we can't afford to do that.
Jerry, Ray Wilkins, an important man for Rangers as the championship gets to the crunch stage.
Yeah, Ray Wilkins is different class on and off the park, isn't he? And he'll be delighted to have Ian Ferguson back tomorrow. They're playing well together. A better performance by Rangers on Tuesday night, there's no doubt about that. And I think Walter Smith hit the nail on the head when I was talking to him the other day. He said that last Saturday, the first game, was maybe the best thing that could have happened to Rangers. They know what's required now. And what I would like to see from Rangers, I think, and their fans would like to see, is a bit of the arrogance that Graham Souness showed as a player. Get that into their play, and I think they'll go on to even greater things. A bit of swag in their play. The best team in the country. They should be letting people know that.
Much hinges on Aberdeen. They're at Tynecastle against Hearts tomorrow, and Aberdeen just can't afford to slip up.
They're on a good run at the moment. I thought they might slip in the capital 2 weeks ago when they played Hibs, but they come through and won that one. Theo Snelders, of course, is playing so well. In that 8-game unbeaten run, he's had 6 shutouts. The Dons have done a lot better than I thought, I've got to admit that. Next Saturday's vital, Rob, because Aberdeen are at home to Celtic, Rangers at home to Hearts. I'll be in Paris, he said, name-dropping for the World Cup tie. I'll miss those, the France-Yugoslavia game, but that'll be a very significant Saturday.
Not like you to name-drop. Celtic against Dundee, and that's of obvious importance to Celtic with the Cup final coming up in terms of form. British football team to win promotion this season. A win at Clifton Hill against Dumbarton will be enough to take them out of the second division. If they do make it, it'll be a remarkable achievement for their popular manager.
As a Rangers player, Davy Provan won most of Scottish football's top honours.
That the week's news would be all about tragedy and dreadful sadness.
The tragedy of Hillsborough was felt all over the world. There was a minute's silence in several European grounds this week. And in Italy, Sampdoria players have offered to donate to the disaster fund half of the bonus they receive for reaching the final of the Cup Winners' Cup.
And here too, players from Hearts, Hibs, Rangers and Celtic have tonight been at the Ideal Homes exhibition in Edinburgh, helping to raise funds to help the bereaved of Liverpool.
And tomorrow, clubs in Scotland will observe a minute's silence before their matches. But as always, the show must go on, and we really do have some great action for you tonight on Extra Time.
In Barcelona.
The Cup Winners' Cup. Barcelona met Bulgarian Stredec Sofia with a 4-2 advantage from the first leg. Once again, Gary Lineker, the hero for the Spaniards. This is first goal, although he was to miss a penalty later on in the match.
Sampdoria versus Barcelona, May 10 in Bern. Versus Stuttgart, and home and away legs on the 3rd and the 17th of May.
It's nail-biting stuff tomorrow, and in the Premier Division, Rangers have the title in their sights, and they can only throw it away now. Aberdeen have emerged as the only side who can pounce if Rangers do slip, and tomorrow the Dons take their winning run of 8 games to Tynecastle. 9 wins in a row would be a club record, but they haven't won at Tynecastle for 4 years.
And a former Don to assess the chances of their old sides.
Cooper playing it in. Russell makes it 2.
I can't see Rangers losing it. They're in a strong position. They're 2 points ahead with a game in hand. So I can't see Aberdeen catching them.
The call is after him, but Strachan released the ball perfectly there for Peter Weir, taking on Mick Mills. And a goal!
I think Aberdeen can still do it. You know, they're only 2 points behind. Rangers are certainly a game in hand, but they're hard games, and I don't rule out Gold Club.
Do you think that people have a tendency to overlook the Dons?
Yes, very much. The West of Scotland bias, as Mr Ferguson used to say to us. Even in the great years with Aberdeen, when we were winning things every year, you know, it was drilled into us that when we went down to the West of Scotland to make sure after the game, when he was going into the press conference, that we won, because he couldn't take it, you know.
What about Aberdeen? Did you expect them to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season?
No, not really. They were never quoted. But they've stuck in there. They went to difficult grounds. and came away with 2 points. So they've done really well.
And of course, Charlie Nicholas certainly turning it on at the moment.
Well, nobody ever doubted his ability, and they've certainly worked on his fitness side of it, and he's reaped the benefits.
You think, though, at the end of the day, it's just going to be too late for the Dons to catch them?
I would think so. I mean, they've done really well to stick in there, but it's Rangers' title.
Rangers, of course, go to Love Street tomorrow, and it's never easy to take points away from Paisley. A tradition, you know, which goes back a very long time indeed.
McKean has Mowat to beat, which he does very handsomely. And also Richardson. It's Cooper giving it to Gordon Smith. Smith accelerates, that's Jardine. Jardine scores an absolutely brilliant goal there. Smith. It's Young, the fullback. Hislop going for it. Doing well to get it round the back. Driven in by Docherty. Mowat. That's Hislop coming in. Down he goes. A penalty being given there, a bit surprising. Frank McGarvey taking it. McKean. Johnston. Gordon Smith. Cooper. Left foot goal, a brilliant equaliser. Cooper taking this free kick. Headed by Johnston. Johnston scores. Cooper took a really perfect free kick there, flighted it right across, close to the far post, and Johnston, unmarked, rose to head it. Alec Beckett to throw for Saints. Who must be going through agonies at this moment, having looked earlier in the match to really have it in the bag. But now they're 3-2 down. A great try there! McGarvey has scored, McGarvey has equalised again!
Great to see some of these faces from the early 70s. Well, after the break, I'll be...
Of the Hillsborough tragedy. The grief which has enveloped Liverpool has touched the whole of British football. The incident has been particularly poignant for Jim Craig, who spent 2 years of his playing career at Hillsborough.
That's true, Bill, and it's been 12 years really since I was in Hillsborough, and it was tragic for me last week to see the ground that I knew so well coming up in scenes like that. And I think that, Derek, you and I are in a position to know something of how players and spectators must feel, because we both played in Ibrox disaster game 1971.
That's right, Jim, and it brought back sad memories for me of these days, but actually watching the television and the pictures in the press this week of the shrine at Anfield says it all for me. Yeah. Let's hope something positive comes out of this situation.
I think on the football side we must mention that the President of UEFA, Jacques Jaurès, was right out of the question in coming out with a very premature statement and laying the blame on certain fans, and I think that was not the time to do that, and really from the President of UEFA you would expect better.
Well, really, there's no excuse for that, Jim. Let's hope he gets his comeuppance.
Yeah. Now, we have been receiving letters all week from various sources. I'm afraid too many for us to go through them all, but there are various games being held to raise money for the appeal fund for the Hillsborough tragedy. Both Rangers and Scottish seen for some time. Another operation this week?
That's right. I think he went through an operation yesterday, Jim, and let's hope that he comes through it. I know the press this morning are saying that he's finished, but I wouldn't go along with that at all.
Well, Ian, if you're watching this afternoon, our very best wishes for your quick recovery. And still on the international front, Scotland go into next Wednesday's vital World Cup tie with...
Stop to remember. Liverpool came to a halt, and a mile of scarves led to a field of flowers. Good evening. At 6 minutes past 3 this afternoon, the centres of 3 cities stopped and every football league ground in Britain fell silent. It was a tribute to the 95 people who died in Britain's worst sports disaster at Hillsborough exactly a week before. Shops closed, traffic lights stayed red, planes were diverted as the dead were remembered.
Liverpool's Anfield ground, so often charged with the most electric atmosphere in the league when the Reds are playing at home, was instead the quiet and sombre place it's been all week. as 3 o'clock approached this Saturday afternoon. Queues to get in stretched a mile down surrounding streets. Some of those who'd survived the tragedy at Hillsborough had come to mourn. 2 fans on crutches were helped onto the Kop by former Liverpool striker John Toshak. Anfield in the foreground and Everton's Goodison Park behind were to be linked by an umbilical cord, a mile-long serpent of scarves, Liverpool's red and white and Everton's blue and white extending slowly as fans each surrendered one of their prized footballing possessions. One group in a park formed a heart, RIP spelt out in the middle. As the clock on the Liver building showed 6 minutes past 3, the time that last Saturday's match was abandoned, Liverpool was still. Nothing moved in the city's busiest shopping street. Traffic was at a halt in Lime Street. No ferry crossed the Mersey. And some of the Liverpool players stood with fans at Merseyside's other league club, Tranmere Rovers. At 7 minutes past 3, the last of the 4,000 scarves linking Anfield and Goodison was tied to the Kop by Barry Devonside, father of 18-year-old Christopher, who died a week ago at Hillsborough. Liverpool players, past and present, stood on the Anfield turf as Gordon Taylor of the Professional Footballers Association laid a wreath. And finally, the Liverpool anthem, You'll Never Walk Alone.
Seven days on, the people of Sheffield are still queuing to sign the Book of Condolences in their town hall. Snooker star Steve Davis adding his signature today. While outside, the leaders of Sheffield Council joined the hundreds of street collectors who are raising money for the Disaster Appeal Fund. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, a cathedral bell was rung 95 times. Once for each of the victims of Hillsborough. Then at 6 minutes past 3, Sheffield, like Liverpool, fell silent. The traffic lights stayed on red. The normally bustling city centre stood still. In Nottingham too, thousands of people observed a minute's silence. This afternoon, the first football was played in Sheffield since the disaster. Spectators at the game between Sheffield United and Brentford, sombre and subdued.
Well, I went to the game and I saw more or less everything what happened, and I feel that I'm still not over it, and it really upsets me still, and I think that's the feeling of everyone in the club, really.
At Hillsborough today, some of the bereaved arrived from Liverpool to be where their loved ones had died exactly a week ago. And at the Leppings Lane entrance, 1,000 people came to mourn the dead at the gates that are now a memorial of flowers and scarves.
Football across the country paid its tribute to the dead of Hillsborough by observing a minute's silence before each of today's league games. The kick-off time for all matches was put back to 6 minutes past 3.
Across the country, traditional rivalries were set aside today as football united in paying its respects to 95 of its most ardent followers. At Sunderland, one of the heartlands of the English game, everyone turned up half an hour before kick-off. Rank and file supporters from every part of the ground, joining club officials, ball boys and the players in a dignified tribute. At 3:05, the time that the scale of last Saturday's disaster was unfolding, on the pitch, and on the terraces, a minute's silence. Here at Ayresome Park, Middlesbrough, there were particularly heavy hearts. Nottingham Forest, Liverpool's semi-final opponents last week, had to overcome their feelings as First Division football, however reluctantly, resumed. In London, Liverpool's Merseyside rivals Everton stood respectfully, heads bowed at Tottenham. This week, the colour blue or red has counted for nothing. The grief felt equally by all. Across 700 miles from Brecon to Plymouth, well over 500,000 fans stood in silence. This was the scene at Tynecastle before Scotland's big match between Hearts and Aberdeen. The Women's FA Cup final at Old Trafford was overshadowed by the tragedy. One of the sides, Liso Pacific, were from Liverpool, and 3 of their players had witnessed firsthand the events at Hillsborough. Some wept unashamedly. Even the presentation of the match bowl suggested that respect for the dead was of far more significance than today's result. At Derby, where the club tore down the terracing fences, they sang the Anfield anthem and placed a bowl of red tulips in the goalmouth. Football had not forgotten.
Remembering Hillsborough. Now, other
Street
news.
sees Rangers take a step nearer the title, helped by a stunning goal from Ian Ferguson.
His future now lies abroad or in England. Today, Aberdeen manager Alex Smith said the player would be ideally suited to any club in the English First Division. He said that after 11 years with the Dons, the time was right for Simpson to move. But he re-emphasised that the Dons would be looking for a minimum of £500,000. Scotland's Group 5 World Cup opponent Cyprus flew into Glasgow this afternoon. The Cypriots prop up the group right now with only a point from a drawn match, and that was against France.
And at all grounds throughout the country yesterday, players, fans and officials were united in their unspoken sympathy for those who suffered at Hillsborough last Saturday. A minute's silence was acknowledgement by everyone who loves football of how the loss of...
At different times this week, but they mean that Souness and Smith will have to watch their club's matches from the stand until the end of next season. It's not clear what action Rangers will take, but it's believed that they are not going to take the SFA's decision lying down, and Club Supremo David Murray will make a statement next week. It does seem certain, though, that the club and the governing body are on a collision course. I can reveal tonight that Hibs are to make a last-ditch attempt to keep striker Steve Archibald at Easter Road. Contract still to run, but the club want to have a face-to-face meeting with the player, and that could take place in the next few days. So, a ray of hope, at least for Hibs fans. But if Archibald does go, and there'll be no shortage of clubs, with Cyprus out of the way, it's back to the domestic scene tomorrow. The Rangers champagne is on ice, but it could be uncorked at 20-5 at Ibrox should they beat Hearts and Aberdeen drop a point to Celtic. 2 possible absentees for Rangers tomorrow. On the doubtful list are midfielders Ray Wilkins and the man who's been such a part of the Ibrox machine this season, Ian Ferguson. Rangers should take nothing for granted in this fixture. Their fans should remember what happened in the same match only last year.
Robert speeds Bartram. And the deflection, Bartram scores for Rangers. Gary Mackay this time, Hearts still favouring the in-swingers. There's Sandy Clark. Up goes McPherson, the ball's in the net, and Hearts are back on level terms. Here's Gary Mackay doing the 1-2 with Sandy Clark. It's still Mackay, brought down by Woods. That is a penalty kick. Here's John Robertson. 2-1 to Hearts.
Well, although that was a great win for Hearts last year, the points went to mean a great deal in terms of the destiny of the Premier Division title. Nevertheless, it was a victory which scorer Dave McPherson vividly remembers.
It was an important game for us. We were going to be runners-up in the league. Obviously, we couldn't catch Celtic at the time, but it was a lot of pride at stake for us at the game.
What do you remember of your goal?
Very little. I remember, I think it was Sandy Clark knocked the ball back, and I ran in goal and got a clean header. I hit it on the underside of the bar and in.
Of course, circumstances have changed dramatically this year, and obviously this game means a great deal. Do you think that Rangers champion will have to stay on ice this week?
Well, we did it to Celtic last year, and I think we possibly could do it to Rangers this year, but I think it's going to be harder this time.
What would you say, Dave, are the strengths of the current Rangers side then?
I think it's their defence. They're very strong at the back. They've got Gary Stephen, Terry Butcher and Richard Goff are playing very well at the moment, extremely well, and I think that's the strong point.
Would you expect that Rangers will come all out to attack you and try and make Hearts lambs to the slaughter?
I think they will. I think they'll go for the 2 points right from the beginning of the game, but we'll be out to make it difficult for them.
It seems ironic, Dave. In midweek there you were playing alongside some of these Rangers players. Now you're playing against them.
That's right. They helped me tremendously during the week, but they know that I'll owe them no favours come Saturday.
Well, Dave McPherson and Hearts have a tall order on their hands tomorrow. After all, Rangers have only lost one game at home this season and conceded only 8 goals at Ibrox. Much of the credit for that must go to the man named this week as the Sports Writers' Player of the Year, Richard Goff, who can get on the score sheet himself on occasion. This goal earlier in the season went a long way to putting Rangers on the title trail.
Wilkins locks it in. Up goes Goff. David Robertson clears as Goff.
Those are the rest of the Premier League fixtures. At who it is, last month, Rod Stewart listened by phone from Chile to our Scotland versus France commentary, and this week he took in the Scottish television coverage from New Orleans out in the United States. He says he's already making plans to be in Italy with the Scots fans. This week, though, although his heart was in Glasgow, though, he was in New Orleans. Good night.
Good night.
Rangers have got the league title all sewn up at this stage.
They have, but they won't be saying that down Ibrox Page. And I think they'll just be intent on beating Hearts today and hoping that Aberdeen can get some sort of result or Celtic can get some sort of result at Aberdeen today.
That's right, as we can see from the table now, a clear 4 points between Rangers and Aberdeen, with Rangers a game in hand. And of course, Aberdeen's chances fell last week at Tynecastle against Hearts, and it was an excellent.
And there's a magnificent ball, something that they've been lacking really all season. Good quality balls from the wing, and there's Mike Gallagher. How many times has he did that this season for
a real
Hearts?
powerful header. And it is a little ironic that the title could be won for Rangers by Celtic going up to Aberdeen and taking a point at least there today. They struggled a little in the first half last week against Dundee at Celtic Park, but they came back well. Dundee got an early lead here when Paul McStay obviously told Graham Harvey here, put him in a jersey apart from anything else. But there was an interesting incident at the penalty kick, which was taken initially by Keith Wright, but you'll see 2 Celtic players at least go into the box there, and it's a terrible penalty anyway. And Dundee get a second chance, and this time it's Graham Harvey who steps forward.
Well, that's right. I mean, a lot of people saying there's nothing at stake for Celtic to play for in the league, but certainly remember they have a cup final.
As their player of the year, and is going for a double, of course. You could get the Players' Award as well.
Well, I think he deserves it. I mean, we talked about him last week, Jim. He's just been a marvellous player, and I would say thoroughly deserved. Well done, Richard.
I go along with that. Well, one man I'm sure who will be proud of that Richard Goff award is Jim McLean, who of course introduced him to Scottish football.
More than 30 games after it began, the Premier Division Championship was this afternoon about to be settled. Rangers fans went to Ibrox hoping that their celebration party wasn't about to be postponed, or worse, cancelled. For not only did Rangers require to beat Hearts, but Celtic had to do their old rivals a favour at Pittodrie. Highlights of both are among the 7 matches you'll see tonight, including all 5.
Nice little jig by Stillen, there's the header, and I think there was confusion between Drinkle and McCoist.
Was, if anything, even heavier than usual with anticipation as Rangers contemplated a possible 39th championship triumph in front of their own fans at that. Celtic, of course, had to do their bit, even though a draw always looked a good bet at Pittodrie, and Rangers had to face the not inconsiderable challenge of Hearts, who spiked the Dons' guns just last week.
Well, this has also been the day when Liverpool...
Campaign for the League Championship, told by Archie McPherson in We Will Follow On.
Celtic Park and the showdown they won't forget.
Penalty to Celtic. So, Joe Miller against Chris Woods. He saved it, and it's passed. And that is a gigantic stride towards the championship title itself.
April Fool's Day it may have been, but that penalty save by Chris Woods was authentic enough. And in a city sharply divided in loyalties, as Glasgow always will be, I think it was a single moment of the season which united Rangers and Celtic supporters in the belief that the championship was heading back towards Ibrox Park. And that the balance of power in Scottish football in the perpetual seesaw between these two giants was tilting towards Govan again. But you know, when you look at Rangers' huge drawing power, you realise that their confidence is based on the loyalty of supporters who certainly endorsed their policy of big spending.
So going into the market and acquiring Gary Stevens for £1 million and another Englishman, Kevin Drinkle, for £500,000 was the kind of rich intake that led instantly to robust health and early optimism. To Rangers, lavish spending is as vital as including fibre for a balanced diet.
As Wilkins, gentlest of touches, Ferguson just kicks it in. That's to Cooper, let's create goal! Oh, beautifully watched. But that really started with this excellent move by Ian Ferguson, who's been very quiet. Now watch this, the dummy and the finish that went, from that angle right through the goalkeeper. Butcher. And the ball, I think, yes, has been given. The Motherwell players are incensed by that, and we might begin to understand why they're so incensed. A lovely jump there by Butcher, and the Motherwell defender stood stock still as Ian Durrant put Rangers 2 up.
First to that one. Walters. Durrant through the middle. Chance for Rangers. Penalty. Now this was Durrant going through. Berry came right across, bundled him off, and really the referee pointed to the spot correctly. Ian Durrant is going to take this one himself. In off the post. Now Walters for Rangers. Turning, twisting, and put in by Nisbet.
In purely monetary terms, I suppose Andy Gray at £25,000 is worth about Terry Butcher's kneecap. The old warhorse, though, added wit and wisdom to the pool. But, as a Rangers supporter from his youth, he hardly sat and watched his first few games in comfort.
Great run here by Ian Cameron, the wide midfielder, setting up Billy Davis. Great strike, St Mirren in the lead after 13 minutes. St Mirren defence holding for the moment, but Rangers continuing to play the ball in from all angles. Graham Souness, the player-manager, with a shot. Just wide of the target. Rangers still down by 1. A corner from Davy Cooper, placed in. Butcher with a header. Handball, said the referee. This time, Davy Cooper against Campbell Money, and the kick is good. Rangers have tied it. Mark Walters again at the helm, wide on the left. Really has had a marvellous week. Walters cross, Richard Gough up looking for the ball. Here's Davy Cooper chesting it down. The flick on to Mark Walters. That's 2-1. Butcher intercepts. Davy Cooper. He's beaten the offside trap. Ian Ferguson. And that breaks the tie. With 6 minutes left to go. It was Davy Cooper who set it up. Sending the cross deep. The Dundee United defence caught out, and Ian Ferguson with a header. Beating Billy Thompson. Rangers are in the lead. Corner kick to Rangers, taken by Mark Walters. Dundee trying to clear the lines, but Kevin Drinkle with the header. Drinkle making his comeback in this game after injury, and Rangers are in the lead. Here's Mark Walters again wide to the left. Cutting inside Billy Kirkwood, a chip by Walters. 2-0.
Sometimes Rangers of old have been such bad starters to the league you would think nobody had told them it had begun at all. But that sight confirmed they had wakened up a bit earlier this time. And to their hardly impoverished pool they added Neil Cooper, who on his debut returned like the prodigal to his home ground, but with no thoughts of exchanging endearments.
Looks in at the near post, so is Brown. Goff beaten there by Robertson. Cooper, what a goal! Six minutes from half-time. Neil Cooper on his debut for the Light Blues scores the opening goal. Cleach to take the free kick. Goff and Dodds, away by Stevens. Aberdeen keeping the pressure on. Hewitt. Penalty. Ian Ferguson could do little about that one, as John Hewitt's twisting and turning. You see it quite clearly. Inside the box, that's a penalty. Up comes Bet. Aberdeen are level. Aberdeen come again. Bet. Useful ball. Wood stays. Nicholas scores.
The loss of 2 points in championship terms was bearable. The loss of Ian Durrant in human terms incalculable. If they felt they had suffered more than their fair share of misfortune, fate was to pull another trick that amused nobody at Ibrox, especially Ali McCoist.
Long ball intended for Kevin Drinkle, who's onside. Drinkle's cross. Ali McCoist was waiting in the middle, seemed to pull up, and McCoist will require treatment. Richard Goff, the central defender. And Wilkins intercepted by Billy Davis. And Davis with a pass to Mark McWalter. 1-0 St Mirren. On the hour mark, Mark McWalter has broken through. Gary Stevens. Time running out for Rangers. Just over 4 minutes remaining. Wilkins with a cross. John Brown battling forward. Now Walters. Andy Gray has made the run. Andy Gray has tied it up.
A late equaliser always seems the worst of injustices, but on the other hand, Rangers' instinct to hang on was clear to see.
Of all the glittering prizes in Scottish football, the one that takes precedence over everything else is the League Championship trophy. But of course it does help if a club is winning other things as they go along, which Rangers did in the month of October when they won the Skol League Cup. But they were to go through, at the same time, a turbulent period. They'd already lost Ian Durrant. They were to lose Ali McCoist and Chris Woods, key figures in their side. But then suddenly, out of the blue, came a transformation off the field, which was to shake Scottish football to its foundations.
The club was sold. Lawrence Marlborough, the man from Lake Tahoe, severed the long family links with Rangers, and the club was now in the hands of new director Graham Souness and a new owner, one of the most dynamic young entrepreneurs in Britain, David Murray.
The opportunity arose that after meeting Graham, we came up with an idea of approaching Lawrence Marlborough, and fortunately he was prepared to sell us the club.
Under the guidance of David Holmes, the club had exorcised some of the ghosts of the past and faced up to the commercial realities of a new age. But Murray was faced by the stark factors of supply and demand. Ibrox was simply too small. And he certainly got to know that, especially as he watched from the director's box Rangers youngsters whetting the appetite for more and more.
Wilkins to McCall, and he's done it! A beautiful goal by McCall. And with 22 minutes gone, to the delight of this huge crowd at Ibrox, a superb goal by this young man. Very neat play again by Wilkins, and what the coolness, almost iciness of the way he finished it off.
The queue to get into Rangers' first team shows how strong the pool is. John Brown fits in anywhere. Nicky Walker was good enough to hold the fort in time of need. Ian Ferguson ignites rather than just plays football. And his namesake Derek has an injury record which makes him the most fragile in the side, but for all that, his smooth technique is the blender of the assorted styles around him.
Here's Ferguson. Going on the inside and trying the shot. It's a goal! Alan Ruff is stunned, but Derek Ferguson has made the breakthrough. And that could be a vital goal for Rangers.
After 21 games, Rangers were beginning to consolidate themselves at the top. Now, with due respect to the others, Souness was looking over his shoulder at one team in particular. They came to Ibrox on the 3rd of January.
Can't get it away. Feels for a free kick, and it is. And that was a very bad piece of play by Ray Wilkins. An astonishingly slack pass which brought this foul about, because McAvenny is very dangerous in that position. Seemed to me he threw himself a bit. There's only a minute gone. Celtic to take this. It's just there, yes. Morris, 1-0. Here's Ferguson. Just gets with her. Now Walters. Now that is a free kick. Free kick to Rangers. Wilkins will take this. There's Butcher with it. It's in! Butcher, the equaliser. Terry Butcher, rising above them all he needed was the slightest glance, and it soared away from Bona. Butcher, superb in the air. Here's Walters, and Rangers get the free kick. Brown on towards Ferguson. Here Drinkle. Feels for a penalty, it's given. For the second game in a row, Rogan has given away a penalty. It happened on Saturday, and there was a challenge. Well, Mark Walters, in an atmosphere that would terrify even the toughest personality, has to take this penalty kick. It's there. Rangers are in the lead, 2-1. Mark Walters puts them there. And he did that with the greatest of ease, very near the goalkeeper, but it went in. Ferguson with the shot, is there. There was a deflection, I think. In came Ferguson, and that shot whistled in, and I think there was a deflection. But Rangers are now 3-1 in the lead, and we've played 1 minute of stoppage time. Straight to McCall. Drinkle. That's a beautiful ball. Here's Walter through. Walters with a great chance, and he done it! Number 4 for Rangers in a breakaway. Beautifully taken goal. The classic sucker punch. Rangers have been in the ropes for the last 10 minutes, and Walters gets them away from it. And that is the game well and truly won.
Now, on such a day, it's easy for the victorious supporters of an old firm team to succumb to the temptation of thinking that everything is downhill from then on. This euphoria was accentuated when Ali McCoist, who had tried every known treatment for that injury, finally got his hamstring to cooperate again. His colleagues softened up the opposition first.
Chip towards Derek Ferguson. He brought it down well, and Geddes, Ian Ferguson. The two Fergusons combining. And the free kick into the wall. There's Saunders, and right, he's done it. Dundee a level. Walters' corner. And again, Geddes off his line. There's Ian Ferguson. And Butcher might get it in. He's done it. Well, it was messy, but they all count. The punt by Stevens. And Ian Ferguson racing down the right. Has Drinkle in the middle. Also Ali McCoist, he scored. And the Ali shuffle. 3-1.
Ferguson, Walters, Stevens to Ferguson. That's a better ball to Monroe. Does very well, he scored! Oh, very good goal by Monroe. As Rangers go delirious, and here's this player who's been moved about. He's been a substitute, he's been a fullback, finds himself in again in the left-half position, and this superb pass here by Wilkins is best of the match so far. From a difficult angle, Monroe puts Rangers 1 up with 6 minutes to have time. And the whistles are blowing now. Maybe Mr. Wardle is taking his guidance from that East German referee. I don't know quite how long the stoppage time will be. Oh! It's an own goal, would you believe?
Not since Laurel and Hardy made fumbling an art form has it been such a delicate piece of farce. The Rangers manager wasn't laughing. In fact, he exchanged words with a linesman, which were far from pleasantries. But Souness did smile, though, when Chris Woods came back after a 4-month illness.
He's nowhere near that. Comes towards Martin. With that shot, McCoist, and Ferguson done it. Brilliantly taken. That's a touch again. And it's gone in. Chalmers, I think, put it in. Walter Smith doing a bit of bowling. Butcher is up, and there's a touch, a great goal by McCoist. Butcher gave the assist, and McCoist in like a flash. Swinging away, Goff is up, Davy Cooper. Great effort by Cooper. Walters has done it. 3-1.
Still in front, but feeling the pressure, and with Dundee United, Aberdeen and Celtic refusing to slacken, Rangers went into the marketplace again. Mel Sterling came to Ibrox for £750,000 to fill any possible gaps caused by Rangers' booking statistics, which made Terry Butcher especially vulnerable.
Long ball low through the legs that time of Ollie Jameson. And Kevin Drinkle's cross to McCoist. There's Ian Ferguson, he makes it count. Rangers building up again. And spaces in the Hamilton defence. Kevin Drinkle in the middle. Blocked away, and here's Mel Sterland. Great way to start off your Ibrox career. The man they used to call Zico makes it 2-0. Walters going to the far post, and Richard Goff's there, he's done it. And that wraps it up for Rangers. 1 minute to go.
If anybody were to say that life is dull at Ibrox, it would be a bit like saying that Niagara is merely a bubbling brook. After all, if it wasn't happening on the field, which it largely was throughout the season, it was certainly happening off it. At about this time of the year, Rangers very dramatically announced improvements that they would wish to make to refurbish Ibrox, which was already a very superb stadium. It was going to cost them £11 million. They also brought to the park a television executive, Alan Montgomery, who was to revamp the business structure. They want more facilities like these. This is the McPhail Suite, which is the executive area for the main sponsor. They're going to build new boxes and a new stand. That's all a sign of a club very confident of its future, even though just over the horizon then was a visit to a hoodoo ground, Celtic Park.
Bit of jockeying for position in there, and that's in! Drinkle! There's Ferguson with a shot. Oh, it's a brilliant one. And he's gone in. It's a second for Rangers. There's Brown. Yeah, too many Celtic players going at it. Joe Miller. Brilliant play by Miller. Now this looks better for Celtic. Morris. With a great chance, he scored. Walker. Nice touch there, Joe Miller. Richard Gore. That's appealed for a penalty. The penalty's been given. It's been given for handling. So, Joe Miller against Chris Woods. Oni saved it, and it's passed.
Now, at the end of such a day, it is natural to feel you not only have won a football match against your oldest rivals, but conquered the Galaxy to boot. You really would have been hard put to have had a logical conversation with these gentlemen of the terracings to persuade them that there were still 6 games to go. The supporters at a ground where winning has had a rarity quality were letting themselves go. Yet the nerves were stretched to the limit by Motherwell, who were almost the official party ruiners at Ibrox. Almost, but not quite. Ali McCoist caused relief to surge round the ground like a tidal wave.
Well, Ibrox may be a changed place from the old days when everybody virtually had to stand. But the atmosphere in the renovated and modernised stadium is absolutely marvellous, and indeed is the envy of the whole of Europe. But one thing the Rangers players wanted more than anything else, and that was to win the championship this season at home in front of their very loyal supporters. So when Hearts came here, they knew they were in for a hot time.
Walters is there. Wilkins and Sterling. And there it is, and it's in! Beautifully by Sterling. And off he goes. That little run of triumph for such a sweetly hit free kick. To each other. Look at this comedy of errors with Drinkle. Well, that's not a bad ball. A great goal, Sterling. All superbly taken by the big man. He is having a field day. Well, I think he wanted to climb up to the audience. Beautifully weighty cross there and flush from the forehead right into the rigging, as they would say. And the crowd love him, and he does in return. Looking for Walters, and he just gets him there. Price. Oh, brilliant goal, Drinkle! Oh, yes, superb goal. Well, the 3 goals from the 2 Englishmen, and how about that? Off is Ferguson. to Cowan. There's a race forward, no offside. Drinkle. And he done it. His second, Rangers fourth. And you get the feeling that if Rangers really wanted, this could develop into a run. Certainly the Hearts defence tried to play them offside. They certainly were not. And Drinkle took his opportunity and remained admirably calm. Okay, they look easy, don't they, from there, but you ask the striker about it. They're all difficult. Well, there's an almighty roar going up over Ibrox. The final whistle has gone at Pittodrie. It is nothing each, and the Rangers supporters realise that. I'm not sure if the Rangers players do, but the championship is Rangers' or, technically speaking, they're 4 minutes away from it. Ibrox has erupted.
Souness's impassive countenance is a familiar landmark in Scottish football now, but underneath, ultimately, he felt like the others. Restraint at the final whistle is simply an impossibility. Rangers celebrated with that pleasantly weary look that comes over players when they know the hard work is well behind them. Their supporters are habitually very hard to please, but having been lifted out of the rut of mediocrity which the club had settled into prior to Souness, the celebrations simply underline the fact there can be no going back on the policy of massive investment. Their continuing success might intimidate others in Scottish football, that is certainly true. But inevitably, the major clubs must rise to their challenge as they form the core of a new prosperity for the game. Souness points to the factors which made his side so very special this season.
The determination of our players in pre-season, Archie. The look on their faces when we're putting the hard work in pre-season. They had the hunger. And you can now, you want to talk about individual games, but that for me, I knew in pre-season we had a real chance.
Do you see the League Championship always in terms of passport to Europe?
No, League Championship's the one that'll keep me in a job. If I won a cup every year, it wouldn't guarantee me a job the following season. I know if I win a championship, that'll keep me in a job.
But the club has dramatically changed. Is it on the right path as far as you're concerned?
We've won the championship. We're heading in the right direction. I am not entirely satisfied with my team, and I don't think I ever will be. So, therefore, I'm still looking to go forward. I'm looking to make changes. We must always look to go forward. And that may be super critical, or may sound super critical by me. But after just winning the league today, I think we can improve our team in certain areas, and I've been given the responsibility, and it's my responsibility to give the supporters the best team, because they support the biggest club in Great Britain. There's no reason why we shouldn't be the best club in Great Britain, and maybe the best club outside of that.
Next week, the chance to savour the whole season as BBC Scotland relives the action right through the divisions with 100 goals in 30 minutes. Which was your favourite? Look in for all the excitement, the drama and the humour of the 1988-89 season in Scottish football. 100 goals.
Complete until he lines up for England at Hampden. Win over Dundee United took them on to the 54-point mark, and tomorrow they face Dundee, with Aberdeen coming to Ibrox on the last day of the season, a week tomorrow. So Graham Souness's men now on course for that glorious treble with the cup final still to come. Lying in wait, though, at Hampden on the 20th of this month, the other half of that old firm.
No, we never... it's not anything that we discuss. We're aware of the fact that when you're clearest rivals and your nearest rivals and your oldest rivals in many, many ways are as successful as they have been, then it puts additional pressure on you. Everyone here is aware of that pressure, but then again, if you're involved with Celtic, then you've always got to be aware that there is a presence of Rangers across the city. I'm sure the same thing is exactly there for them as well. They've had a successful season. We want to turn this season and the end of it into a successful period, and obviously we want to then decide that next season we will then look towards getting something back.
Lining up at Hampden come the old enemy clash. The thing is, he's desperate to run out in England colours. It really would be a champagne occasion for Mark Walters next week, should Bobby Robson name him in the England squad. The skills of 24-year-old Walters have set the Scottish game alight this season, and his individual brilliance has much to do with Rangers' success.
Drinkle holding off Cherry. This is McCoist in the middle as Walters. It's a great chance for Rangers. Chance for the opener.
I think I've improved, definitely improved. I think playing with better players, you know, like we have got at Rangers, has helped my game tremendously. And I've learnt a lot of the players, especially the more experienced players, like Ray Wilkins and Terry Butcher and so forth. So it's been very good for my game to come up here, and I think playing in Scotland is very difficult anyway. I think it's more so difficult than playing in England, and I think my game's improved accordingly.
What kind of additions have you made to your own game, Mike?
Well, obviously being like more aware. I think more aware of what's going on around me. I mean, playing wide is what I do. Is I've got a lot more options, especially now with the better players I'm playing with. So I think basically that's the most important one, more options to do whatever. I mean, when I was at my previous club, I think I had a lot to do. Every time I got the ball, for instance, I was expected to beat 5 players and then score maybe at the end of it. Whereas obviously at Rangers, it's not so much pressure on me to do that all the time, so that helps as well.
Is it your belief that at this time in your career, you're playing the best football of your career?
Yes, that's without a doubt. I think I've scored more goals this season than I've ever done in a single season before, and I think I've contributed as well to the team, you know, creating goals as well than I've ever done before. So I think obviously taking all that in consideration, I think I've played quite well this year. Yeah.
Bobby Robson, Mark, is about to announce his squad for the Rouse Cup matches, his English squad. Do you feel you've done enough to be included in that squad?
I like to think I'm one of the better players in that position for him to choose from, but he hasn't told me what I need to do to get in the team. So with that the case, there's nothing more I can do really. I mean, I just play away, and maybe he'll give me a chance to prove myself, because I do believe I can do a job for England there. Obviously, I just need that chance to prove it.
Obviously, it's nothing to do with the geographical side of it. You're playing up here and he's down there. You don't believe that it's lack of effort on his part that he's not coming up to see you?
No, someone said to me maybe the fact that I've come up here and I've not been in the team prior could have been a problem. But I honestly can't see that to be the case. I think playing in Scotland is a lot more difficult, especially playing for a big club as we do. And obviously playing alongside international players as well. I mean, surely there shouldn't be a problem there. So I don't think that's a problem now.
How dearly would you like to line up for England against Scotland at Hampden Park?
It would be ironic, yes. It would be ironic, especially playing against some of the, Richard Gough and the other boys. But it would be a great ambition for myself to do that. And I'll be dreaming away. Yes, obviously, I'd love that.
Will you be hugely disappointed, Mark, if Robson doesn't include you next week when he announces his squad?
Yes, I must admit I will be, as I've been since in fact, I last played for England, which is about 3 years ago now, for the under-21 side. Every squad that's been announced since, I've obviously hoped I'd be in one of them. And obviously, if again I'm not in there, I'll be very disappointed, yes.
There are tomorrow's games, but I can tell you that as far as Rangers are concerned, Mark Walters and Kevin Drinkle will both be rested in preparation for the Cup final. Andy Gray will play from the start. Hibs' Steve Archibald is ruled out, though. Tomorrow, the Pars need 2 points and they'll secure that one promotion place to the Premier League. They take on Clyde, who have a fight of another kind on their hands. They're trying to stave off relegation and could well do with the 2 points up for grabs. But fearful of an attack of the jitters tomorrow, Dunfermline manager Jim Leishman gagged himself and his players from talking to the media this week. Talking of jitters, what an attack Falkirk suffered last Saturday at Airdrie. Remember, they needed a win to stay in the promotion hunt, but kissed goodbye to Premier Division dreams as Airdrie ran out comfortable winners.
Looks totally assured as he comes for these high balls. That's over the head of Nicola. Great chance for Lawrence. And it's turned in by Holmes. What a comedy of errors. It's an own goal by Jimmy Holmes. Airdrie are in the lead.
There are